just want to say welcome, and just thank you for the work you do because I think when was that? Maybe about a year ago. I saw a rapper. It was on the Phil Donahue song in
Yeah, yeah.
1995. But her name was Sister Soldier,
Yes.
right? And everybody knows about Sister Soldier, but I saw her in a different light, and they called her like a raptivist. And I didn't understand at the time like how big and powerful that the works of artists that don't typically, you got your Cardi B's, right? And not to shade her, but you have people who appeal to, get up and dance. But you are talking about intellectual, not only intellectual things, intellectual importance, but also like thriving in our city. When people think we can't thrive, we can't move forward, you are the person who not only makes it fun, but you do education as well. So I just want to say thank you so much because we got to shift it. We can't just have social justice and have support groups all the time.
Absolutely.
We really need to engage people who wouldn't necessarily know the work that we do in the community. So you do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me once again.
Of course. So can you tell me a little bit about like how you got started? Like what made you accomplish some of those things, in despite of where we come from, Detroit?
I think first I started as a vocalist. Hip hop didn't ensue until maybe 7th grade. I thought I would be a singer vocalist, but I don't have the pipes I used to have. But even starting here in Detroit, it was primarily like R&B, neo soul, jazz tinged, like hip hop and everything. But I think what brought me into my social justice work was just being really enveloped into the hip hop culture itself. I appreciated hip hop because I was raised on jazz, and the jazz brought me into the hip hop world, and I could see where hip hop really incorporated all the things that I was accustomed to through jazz music, through my mother, and I think I just appreciated how it broadcasted what we were doing in our neighborhoods, within our black communities, in our urban communities. We were movers and shakers. We were students. We were blue collar workers. We were white collar workers. We were all these things. We were involved in agriculture. We were in Girl Scouts. We were 4-H Community Center. We were all these things. And hip hop told the story of everybody. That's what made it so rich for me. And so, being that I was enveloped in that, my words eventually began to play out into my life. That's why you have to be careful what you speak.
Ooh.
So I would talk about, my neighborhood, talk about what I hope to do, talk about what I was doing, and praise God, it just so happened to line up with my life's purpose, unbeknownst to me. So early, I didn't know, but I knew that I was half street, halfway into the 4-H Community Center, halfway into my books, halfway into this music, and then eventually all the way into this music. So all of those things propelled me into my life's purpose of social justice work.
And you say something that a lot of people don't even realize when you say like walking in your purpose. Like when things align and we don't even know it. Hindsight is 2020. Yeah, I can tell you walk in your purpose because of the light you always shine. Like despite seriously, like even if you follow your social media, even if you follow your social media, you see it. Even if you comment, you walk, you come into a room, and I know we're doing a lot of work together now with the Kofi House.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Ruth Ellis Center.
Yeah.
And Pam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out Pamela.
Yeah.
Pamela Alexander.
And so, walking in your purpose, like, do you have any, any advice for someone who feels as if they feel lost, especially in our community, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But when you say walking into your purpose, do you have any advice for someone, because you're so hopeful and these times are really hard, especially for brown and black folks, indigenous folks, for LGBT community? Like, do you have any words to, even though it's probably been a journey for you, any words of like hope or any advice?
Absolutely. I would say innately we kind of know what we're here for. Even when we're searching and we say, what's my life's purpose? Deep down, I just really feel like we know, but we're really asking, how can we get to the point of living out our life purpose? And I was just speaking about this. It's so often we're aware of our power, but we're not aware of the ways in which to use it, right? And so I really believe in allowing people their narrative, and I would advise everybody to hold on to your narrative, because in it is your true self, and in it is your purpose. If you tell your story, the way that you've lived it, the way that you've experienced it from your perspective, you'll hear your truth, you'll hear your purpose, you'll hear your sense of direction. The problem with that is a lot of us don't know our power, so we remain silent. And we don't hear our voice. So then we don't hear our truth. Then we don't hear our purpose. We don't hear our sense of direction. We lose that compass when we're silent. Now, I think that my way of aiding and helping youth and young women navigate in their purpose is I always ask these two questions. What would you have done, one, in any situation if they find themselves in trouble or find themselves in an opportunity for leadership? What would you have done? And then I say, what would you have me do? Those two questions allow two things. It allows you to operate in your power and demonstrate your power to me or whomever else. Then I become a servant to whatever you're trying to execute if you give me the directive. If you don't give me that directive, maybe you've told yourself you're not ready for that leadership. Now, if you do give me a directive within your plan, you see for yourself, you're ready for your purpose. And you're ready to lead in your purpose. Those two questions. Ask somebody, what would you have done? I would have did like this. I would have did like that. Because now that's one thing. A lot of people can ramble on what they would have done.
Yeah. Oh.
But then here's the course for action though. Now what would you have me do? That's twofold right there. It's like, okay, you tell me how you gonna execute. Then you tell me how you will utilize my power. Because it's at your disposal right now. Now, the minute you can do that.
Right. That part.
The minute you can do that, you know you're ready to lead. And fortunately, I knew what I wanted to change about myself first, and then the environment around me. So it was like, what would you have done, Deidre? Well, I would have got out there and rocked the mic like this. I would have got out there and cleaned the neighborhood up like this. I would have got out here and created a curriculum like this. And then what would you have me do? I would have you team up with me.
There we go.
I would have you add a component to this workshop. I would have you do so there you know how to delegate. You understand me? And when you do that, as a young person, as an older person, you become more aware of your purpose. We know it. We know our purpose and our power. It's just knowing when the right moment is to operate in it.
Yes.
And sometimes that's what we shrink back from. So I tell these young folk, and I tell these intergenerational advice.
Yes.
I'm in between the old folks and the young.
Isn't that kind of a great place to be? Like, and I think us in our 30s, I think that we really don't understand the gift that we have and the opportunity to actually have these bridges connected between the young and the old. And especially in the LGBT community, I see that a lot that's missing. And we talked earlier about how you can't afford to throw anybody away.
That's
and
right.
Call out culture is dead.
That's right.
And so it's really true though, because I mean, to me, it's just language. It's language, and then it's like we talked about earlier, like not understanding where your pain is, and that self-reflection. Like sometimes some things can bring things out. You know, seeing that. Remember we talked about the young ladies who, you know, a lot of people want to, you know, shame them.
That's right.
Because of respectability politics,
That's right.
because of them being, you know, pregnant or them being LGBT, and the older generation. Sometimes it's like they're guarded and they don't want to actually say, wow, I can learn from that. Or wow, back in the day, that was like that, but it's 2019. But do you see that a lot?
Absolutely. Like I'm the last year to be considered a millennial. But
Are you?
in between the cusp of millennial and Gen X, right?
Okay.
And we are children of baby boomers, right? So we got it all. We can relate to some of everything and everybody.
We do.
And you know, the problem is some of the baby boomers they forget that they were radical at one point in time. They had come from the idea of you have to have the nuclear family, the American dream, the white picket fence and everything. That's, you know, it's drilled into their heads, the TV dinners and everything. If you really, that's frowned upon. You better get in there and cook. But that's what they, you know, that was.
Yeah, that was their life.
And then, you know, teenagers, you get Woodstock and all that. They were radical.
They were.
You get Panthers. They didn't see the civil rights movement. The baby boomers were radical. But then it's like they get to a certain age now, 60 something, they forget that they were young ones too.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were young, and they had enough chutzpah to say things should change around me. What would you have me do? Okay, you feel like I can't do nothing? Okay, let me show you what I'm going to do. It's almost like a reverse. Now they've gotten that power